Hello. Today I thought we'd try something I've never done before, and that's ASMR. I'm not sure how I feel about it, and I'm not sure that I've ever experienced it. But today, I'm going to do my best to bring that feeling to someone else. So to start, I'm going to read the first 3 lines of many different poems by published and unpublished authors, and we'll see how this goes. O Carabile, the tarantula rattling at the lily's foot. It is more onerous than the rights of beauty or housework, harder than love. The ocean has its silent caves, deep, quiet, and alone, though there be fury on the waves. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers. 1. God love you now if no one else ever will. Happy the man whose wish and care a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air. Praise the restless beds, praise the beds that do not adjust, that won't lift the head to feed. I want to be doused in cheese, ellipses. I am often permitted to return to a meadow as if it were a scene made up by the mind that is not mine, but is a made place, ellipses. Often rebuked, yet always back returning to those first feelings that were born with me, and leaving busy chase of wealth and learning. O antic God, return to me, my mother in her 30s. Oh, could I raise the darkened veil which hides my future life from me? Could unborn ages slowly sail? O hope, that thou soother sweet of human woes, how shall I lure thee to my haunts forlorn? For me wilt thou renew the withered rose. I tear her tattered ensign down, long has it waved on high, and many an eye has danced to see, of all the people in the mornings at the mall. It is those, the old liberators, I like best, those veterans of the Bulge, Anzio, or Monte Cassino. I am moving from Grief Street. Taxes are high here, through the mortgages cheap. Old men pitching horseshoes, back in a yard where ringers groove a ditch. These 4 in shirt sleeves congregate to pitch. Dirt burnished iron, with a praising eye. Old men, the heavy bodies lunge, the broken language of fake and drive, glamorous jump shots slowed to a stutter, their gestures in love, the oldest living thing in L.A. At Wilshire and Santa Monica, I saw an opossum trying to cross the street. It was late, the street was brightly lit, the opossum would take on a drop of dew. See how the orient dew shed the bosom of the morn into the blowing roses. Oh, what strange parcel of creatures are we, scarce ever to quarrel or even agree. We are all alone, though at home, all together. When infant reason first exerts her sway, and new-formed thoughts their earliest charms display, then let the growing race employ your care. All our roads go nowhere. Maps are curled to keep the pavement definitely. I grieve and dare not show my discontent. I love and yet am forced to seem to hate. I do yet dare not say I ever meant. How much grit do you think you've got? Can you quit a thing that you like a lot? You may talk of pluck, it's an easy word. What needs my Shakespeare for his honored bones? The labor of an age in piled stones, or that his hallowed relics should be hid. There's little joy in life for him, and little terror in his grave. I've lived the parting hour to see. In vain to me the smiling mornings shine, and reddening Phoebus lifts his golden fire. The birds in vain their amorous descent join. How confident I am it is there. Don't I bring it as if it were enclosed in a fine leather case, to particular places solely for its own sake? On the lawn at the villa, that's the way to start. We know where to stand, somewhere expensive. Oh, thou bright jewel, in my aim I strive to comprehend thee. Thine own words declare wisdom is higher than a fool can reach. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost that their loss is no distaste. I don't love you as if you were a rose of salt, topaz, or arrow of carnations that propagate fire. I love you as one loves certain obscure things. How easily happiness begins by dicing onions. A lump of bittersweet slithers and swirls across the floor. Or Oreo, or worse, or ordinary, or your choice. I'll choose for myself next time who I'll reach out and take as mine. In the way, stellar dust has settled. It is green underwater, now in the leaves of the yellow crowfoot. Its vacancies are gathered together on the other side of the world. Put my glad rags in a cardboard box. This old jigaboo never grew mature. Is everything in its place except me? The very flatness of portraits make for nostalgia in the connoisseur. So sexy to slide under, a river to sit inside. Perhaps I can. Oh, chimes set high on the sunny tower. Downhill I came, hungry and yet not starved. Cold yet had heat within me that was proof against the north wind. Tired yet so that rest cannot come. In October of the year he counts potatoes dug from the brown field, counting the seeds, counting. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand. That was the first section that I wanted to read. So all of those were the first 3 lines of poems that begin with O. I thought it gives you a lot of variation and a lot of different things to think about all at once. And it's interesting how well some can flow into each other and some break the flow. And some of them had even made me sad to say the next line because it wouldn't rhyme. It wouldn't keep up that momentum I'd built up. I'm going to move on to a different section now. I want to get a little more for you guys. 1. If that someone who's me, yet not me, yet who judges me is always with me, you are clear. I'll do what I must if I'm bold in real time. A refugee, I'll be paroled in real time. To pull the metal splinter from my palm, my father recited a story in a low voice. I watched his lovely face and not the blade. A Brenda is missing. Where is she? Summon the seeds and weeds, the desert whooshes, phone the finch with the crowded beak, a little pretender. Where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Give all to love. Obey thy heart, friends, kindred days. The song Sparrow puts is saying, more than an ample a dead fall of 1 meter 80 to split my temple apart on the herringbone parquet and crash the operating system, tripping an automated shutdown. The glories of our blood and state are shadows, not substantial things. There is no armor against fate. The world is charged with the grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining from shook foil. It gathers to a greatness like the ooze of oil. Her email inbox always overflows. Her outbox doesn't get much use at all. She puts on hold the umpteen billionth call. The goddess who created this passing world said, let there be light bulbs and liquefaction. Life spilled out into the street. Colors whirled. Fetch. Balls and sticks capture my attention seconds at a time. Catch. I don't think so. Bunny, tumbling, leaf, a squirrel. Whose? Oh. 1981. When I am so small, Dad's socks covers my arms. Before the war leaned in and blew out the candles, there were many long days where lovers called themselves lovers. I wonder, by my troth, what thou and I did till we loved. Were we not weaned till then, but sucked on country pleasures childishly? From the kindness of my parents, I suppose, it was that I held that belief about suffering. In 1915, my grandfather's neighbors surrounded his house, as if he had been poured in tar. He lies on a pillow of turf. I don't know someone, I don't know somehow, It seems sufficient to see and hear whatever coming and going is, losing self to the victory. Man, looking into the sea, taking the view from those who have as much right to it as you have to it yourself. It is human nature to stand in the middle of a thing. She wants to set the house on fire, gas in both hands, gas on the wall. Some say it's in the reptilian dance of the purple-tongued sand goanna, and for there the magnificent translation. My ocean town struggles to pick up leaves, offer summer school. I tell you, hopeless grief is passionless, that only men, incredulous of despair, have taught in anguish through the midnight air. Tell me the way to the wedding. Tell me the way to the war. Tell me the needle you're threading. That second section lasted a little shorter than the first one. But I think we ran into some pretty interesting ones while we were there. I have one more section that I wanted to do. I'm not sure how long it'll take. So, let's give it a whirl, and we'll see just where it ends up taking us. Oh, what can all hail, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has withered from the lake. Stand on the highest pavement of the stair. Lean on a garden urn. Weave the sunlight in your hair. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin there, of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honeybee. It was a picture I had after the war, a bombed English church. I was too young to know the words, English or war. Swear by the olive in the God-kissed land, there is no sugar in the promised land. I don't know how it happened, but I fell, and I was immense, one dislocated arm wedged between 2 buildings. I felt some ribs. Reading in the paper a summary of a 5-year psychological study that shows those perceived as most beautiful. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm hit, he said, and died. Whether he vainly cursed or prayed inside, the bullets chirped in vain, 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 dumped wet and momentary on a dull ground that's been clear, but clearly sleeping for days. Less snow melts as it falls, piles up slush, runs in first light. Before the moths have even appeared to orbit them, the street lamps come on, a long row of them glowing uselessly. do nothing, and everything will be done. That's what Mr. Lao Tzu said, who walked around talking 2,500 years ago. And I have walked through many lives, some of them my own, and I am not who I was, though some principle of being. I don't say things I don't want to say, or chew the fat with fat cats, just because. Ellipses. Woman's tears are but water, the tears of men are blood. Because it has no pure products, because the Pacific Ocean sweeps along the coastline. At 48 to be given water which is most of the world, given life in water which is most of me, given ease, where the slow river meets the tide, a red swan lifts red wings. In Chicago it is snowing softly, and a man has just done his wash for the week. He steps into the twilight of early evening, that the dead are real to us, cannot be denied, that the living are more real. Let the light of the late afternoon shine through chinks in the barn, moving up the bales as the sun moves down. Let it be forgotten as a flower is forgotten, forgotten as a fire that once was singing gold. Let it be forgotten forever and ever. Light, more light, the shadows deepen, and my life is ebbing low. Throw the windows widely open. Let us consider the farmer who makes his straw hat his sweetheart, or the old woman who makes a floor lamp her son, or the young woman who has set herself the task of scraping. My head, my heart, mine eyes, my life, nay, more. My joy, my magazine of earthly store, if to be one as surely thou and I. Life, like a marble block, is given to all, a blank, inchoate mass of years and days, whence one with ardent chival, swift essays. Roughly figured, this man of moderate habits, this average consumer of the middle class, consumed in the course of his average lifespan. Escape me, never, beloved. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. 1. God moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. There are many people who come back after the doctor has smoothed the sheet around their body. The subtlest strain a great musician weaves cannot attain in rhythmic harmony to music in his soul, may it not be. Would I might rouse the Lincoln in you all, that which is gendered in the wilderness, from lonely prairies and God's tenderness. I heard 1,000 blended notes, while in a groove I sate reclined, in that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts, nothing worth nothing except an Andromeda with quadrangular shoots. Lines don't need your help in the Serengeti, for instance, 1,000 like the very rich. Last year we went to Lissadell. The sun shone over Sligo Bay, and life was good, and all was well. Is there anybody there? Said the traveler, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence champed the grasses. I buried my father in the sky. Since then, the birds. She's with Grandma in the front of Grandma's house, backed by a willow tree, gladiola and roses, for those of us young and healthy. We will face the mourning of our elders. All right. That one went pretty well, I thought. That was actually a good time. I think I enjoyed reading at this volume. Usually I have to read a lot louder. And some of the variation I thought was fun. This is my first time ever trying this, though, and I'd really appreciate any feedback you have. What might be most helpful is just time-stamping a certain part and saying that was bad. Don't do that again. That didn't give me the tingles, that made me feel bad. So if you want to leave that in the comments, I'd really appreciate that. I have a lot of ideas for other topics and other things I could do, but I'm always open to suggestions. Thank you for watching, and especially if you made it 28 minutes in to the video, or at least skipped there. It really helps a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you, and take care, everybody.